Hey everyone, it's Tracy here. I finally had time to make another video. Sorry for the little break. But I am going to be using Distress Paints and Mama Elephant stamps on my card today. I have the Tumbled Glass and Salty Ocean Distress Paints and a piece of watercolor cardstock. Now I apologize for the quality of this video. It's on a different camera and I didn't realize it was this bad, so I will not be using it again. But I started by taking my distress paints and just putting them on my craft sheet and then spraying it with lots and lots of water so that it blends really well on my background. I don't necessarily want like a marbled look. I want like both the colors to mix, and then there might be a little bit of being able to see both of the colors, but I just wanted to use two different shades. Now I just keep rubbing it onto in the distress paint until I get my desired look, and then I took my heat tool and dried it completely. You can let it air dry if you have patience for that. Alright, so now I have the Puffy Cloud border die from Memory Box, and I'm just going to place that towards the top of my distress paint watercolor paper and then secure it into place with a little piece of washi tape, and then I'm going to run that right through my Cuttlebug, and that's going to create my clouds towards the top. And I'm just going to, you'll see in the end how I do this, like put it together. Alright, so now I have this tiny star background from Hero Arts, and I was going to stamp it with silver distress paint. Well, I did stamp it, but you will see that what happens, and I really don't like the way it turned out. I was having problems with my distress paint, and I think it's because the metallic ones are a little bit more runny. So I just squirted this on my craft sheet and then stamped my star background into that several times to get it covered. And there was enough paint on there, but then when I stamped it, and I think it's because the stars were too little also, so when I stamped it, it just looked like a bunch of distress paint. Like, it didn't look like stars or anything like that. So the way that I fixed it was I took my baby wipe. You can see how it didn't really turn out. I took my baby wipe and just wiped it off. So there is a little bit of silver in the background, but it looks a lot better than if I would have just left it. So I'm okay with the way that it looks now, but I wouldn't have added the silver if I would have known it turned out like that. Alright, so then I'm going to get out my Mama Elephant stamp set, and this is one of the newer ones. I think it's called In My Heart. And then I have this little piece of watercolor cardstock. It's not the Tim Holtz one. You can definitely use that. This is just a scrap that I found, so I decided to use it. But I'm stamping the little girl with Versa Fine ink. This is the black one. And then I'm going to color that in with distress markers. So I'm going to start out with the Walnut Stain distress marker. And then I'm also going to use the water brush. So I'm only going to color in part of the image with the marker, and then I'm going to use the water brush to bring that color in to the rest of it, as you can see. So it kind of is like distress or Copic markers in a way that you can create the shading with just the darker will be at the top and then it'll get lighter. So then for the face and the hands and the legs, I use the Antique Linen distress marker, and again I just used my water brush to kind of push the color over into the rest of the image. Alright, and then for the dress I used the Worn Lipstick marker. And you can also do more shading, so you could use like the lighter pinks and the lighter browns if you choose, but this way works well, and I only used 3 different color distress markers, so you don't need very many to really create a cool effect. Alright, and then once I get that colored, I'm just going to fussy cut it out. And I left a small white border around the edge. And I think this set does have dies, so if you don't like fussy cutting, you can always purchase the dies that go with it. Alright, and then I have the grassy border from Lawn Fawn. This is the die. And I just took 2 sheets of green cardstock. They're layered on top of each other. And then I have my die, and then I'm just securing that into place with some washi tape and then running it through my Cuttlebug. And you can cut the 2 sheets of cardstock at the same time, so it just saves a little bit of time. Alright, so then I will go ahead and layer those on the bottom of my distress paint piece. Sorry that it's off camera here. Alright, and then I'm going to take the little girl and put some 3D foam squares on the back and then pop her up onto the card. Alright, then I'm going to stamp the sentiment, and it says, "We may be miles apart, but you are always close in my heart." And that I just had my Tuxedo Black Memento ink, but you could use the VersaFine ink that I stamped the little girl in. Alright, and then I am going to use the VersaFine to stamp the 2 butterflies on there, and that's just because I'm going to use my distress markers to color it in, and I didn't want them to bleed with the Memento ink. Alright, so then I'm going to put my card onto a white A2 size card base. I just took a sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper and cut it in half the long way. I just prefer making my cards the top folding cards instead of side folding. I'm going to just use some ATG adhesive and then attach that right onto there. And then for the top, the cloud part, I'm also going to use the 3D foam squares once again. You can use the bigger ones, it'll save you a little bit of time. But I'm just going to put some of those onto the back. And then I'm going to line it up right with the bottom part. So I'm not going to leave a gap or anything between the 2 pieces. Alright, and then I'll use my Warren Lipstick distress marker to color those butterflies in. And then I'm going to add a few sparkling clear sequins on around the butterflies and by the little girl. And I just used my Tombow Mono Multi Glue to attach those. You could also use the Multi-Matte Medium if you prefer. Either of them work really well. You can also use glossy accents if you have that on hand. Alright, and then that is my finished card for today. Hopefully this gives you an idea of how to use your distress paints. I will definitely make some more videos with those. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out these videos that I have linked for you below. Have a good day. Bye!